filming in my bathroom today because my husband is streaming on his Twitch channel and he's really loud like every other gamer, especially gamers that stream. And this is the furthest room from where he's streaming, so it's probably going to be the quietest room, so not the greatest backdrop, and I'm sorry, and you kind of see the reflection in the mirror, but this is what I have to work with, so I'm gonna work with it for you guys. Today I'm bringing to y'all my teen pregnancy story, my first teen pregnancy story, so the one with Phoenix, my firstborn. So I really hope y'all enjoy. Alright, so technically I was pregnant at 16. I got pregnant 2 weeks before I turned 17. And I got pregnant not by my husband. I was an addict, and do y'all see that fly? I'm so sorry. I was an addict most of my teen years because of some trauma I've been through, and it was just it was my way of coping, and it's unhealthy, and it's a whole nother story. But so I made a really bad decision, and this boy that I'd been flirting with on and off since I was about 14 years old introduced me to his friend. And his friend started flirting with me that night, and I had never met this friend in person. We were just talking over Snapchat, and he happened to be a smooth talker, and he was able to talk me into having him sneak into my house that night, the first night we've ever spoken to each other, and do the dirty. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this as PG-13 as I can because I know a lot of my viewers are pretty young. So he came over after a school dance. I was homeschooled, so I wasn't at a dance, and he actually lived about 45 minutes away in a whole different county, actually across the bay. So like, he was making a drive. So he was 16 as well. So we were both 16. So he showed up at my house, and at this time I had some alcohol in my system, and I had a lot of marijuana in my system. Some prescription medication. I was under the influence. I was definitely not thinking straight. So I let him in, and he basically just went right to it. We went right to it. So he didn't last very long at all. Maybe 3 minutes. And that's me being generous. And that's not me trying to be like a bitter baby mama. That's me like being honest. Like, he did not last that long for someone who talks such a big game. So he left, and I had this feeling that he didn't pull out. He didn't use a condom. Stupid, I know. We were 16 being stupid, but we didn't use a condom, and he swore up and down that he pulled out, and I had this feeling that he didn't. So a couple weeks passed, like 2 weeks passed, and it was Christmas, and we had Christmas. Everything was fine. I wasn't having any symptoms. I have a very irregular cycle, up to 300-day cycles, but like, you know, sometimes I only had one period a year, so it wasn't abnormal for me to miss my period. So I try not to stress out too much. And then a really good friend of mine, who I basically lived with at least half my time. During that time, she bought me 2 tests because I couldn't drive. I didn't care to get my license, so she got me 2 tests. I still wasn't having any symptoms, but I wanted to be sure. I had like this gut feeling that I was pregnant. And so I took them the night before our New Year's Eve party. And, well, I took them and they came back negative. They both negative, took them both at the same time, so I went to the party. Got really high off of marijuana. Of course, I had prescription medication in my system, and then I actually drank some alcohol as well. So I didn't think I was pregnant, so I wasn't, you know, like, sorry, that fly. I wasn't trying to be like safe or anything, because I am pro-life for myself. We're not getting into that. We're just gonna say I'm pro-life for myself for now. I can make a video on it later. So if I knew I was pregnant, I wouldn't have been doing any of these things. I texted this guy a few weeks after saying, I think I may be pregnant, but I'm not sure yet. But if I am, you are the father. And he was like, I can't be the father. I'm infertile. He bragged to his one friend who I was also friends with, and this guy was actually a nice guy. And he was like, hey, bleep, I don't want to say his name, but has been bragging that he didn't pull out, that he finished in you, and he's been bragging to me and the other guy that introduced you to him this whole time. And so I was like, oh great, so I probably am pregnant because this douchebag decided he wasn't going to pull out because he thought he was all big and bad. Now I got a cold, and then I was sick for about 2 weeks, like not like throwing up, but like I had a head cold. And then I started throwing up. What are we like? We're at like 4 to 8 weeks since I hooked up with this guy, and I still haven't had my period. Then I started throwing up one morning, just barfed my guts out before work because I've been working since I was 16, so I was working well before I got pregnant, and so I started throwing up. We thought nothing of it, had a head cold, thought maybe I had a stomach bug. I mean, it was January at this point, so it was very common to be sick. And I started throwing up every day after and at work. I worked at Dairy Queen Grill and Chill, so there's a lot of smells going on. It made me very sick. And so my absolute best friend at the time, we don't talk anymore sadly, told me that if I didn't go to the doctor because I kept getting negative pregnancy tests, that she would drive my bleep there herself. So I went and I talked to a friend who knew of a place called the Women's Resource Center who does free pregnancy testing and free confirmation ultrasounds. So I get there, I take the test. They take forever to come back. So I'm just like, I'm pregnant, you know, I'm pregnant. I mean, I hear them coming and they're rustling a little plastic bag, and I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. They don't even need to come in here and tell me. I know. They come in and go, congratulations, you're pregnant. Like they're trying to like be nice, and it's like a really Christian facility, so I felt like they were judging me at the same time. I mean, unwed, just turned 17, pregnant, you know, met the baby daddy once. Come in and they show me this video of, I was 8 weeks at the time. I was like 8 weeks exactly when I got confirmation, and they showed me a video of the 8 week, and then they were like, you know, you have options, right? Abortion, adoption, have the baby, open adoption, closed adoption. And they went through all of them. They made sure I felt safe at home, that I wouldn't feel pressured into doing something I didn't want with my child. And then they said, hey, you want an ultrasound? I said, yes, I'd love an ultrasound. So they gave me the ultrasound, and I had to be a transvaginal ultrasound, which was really weird. I had never been to the OBGYN except to get birth control at this point, and I'd never had to take my pants off. So it was really, really weird for me, especially to have a ultrasound probe shoved up my hoo-ha. She gave me my ultrasound, and that is where we saw Phoenix. And I'm so sorry about that fly. And she had a heartbeat. It was like 188, I think. And so they were like, there's the sac, there's the baby, there's the heartbeat. As of right now, she's viable. There's nothing wrong with her. Took me back to the room. They offered me some prenatal vitamins until I could get my own. They offered me some informational pamphlets. They offered me a GED program. They told me about an Earn While You Learn class, and it's like a parenting baby type class. You go to the class, you earn points, and with the points, you can buy things for your child. I go to work, I tell I tell my husband first. And we weren't even together then, and we'd still not dealt with our very, very bad breakup from like a year and a half ago at this point, and we still haven't dealt with it. We still weren't really friends, and we'd go on dates and stuff to try again, but we weren't ready. And so I was like, hey, look, I'm pregnant. And I just wanted to be honest with him because truly I was still in love with him. I was just in a bad place. And I felt like he should know, and I wanted him to hear it from me. And so I told him. He was like, oh, well, it's going to be a girl. And I was like, haha, you're funny. It's not going to be a girl. It's going to be a boy. I think it's a boy. And he was like, it's going to be a girl. Watch. In a couple weeks, you're going to send me a message saying it's a girl. And I was like, haha, okay. And then I went to work, and I showed my best friend at the time. She was like scared for me, but happy for me. My boss was happy for me, thankfully. And everybody I worked with was happy with me, and they were like, that's why you've been throwing up. And I was like, oh really? I didn't know that's why I've been throwing up. Cold turkeyed everything that day. Every single thing. You know, I haven't touched it since because I got sober for our oldest daughter. And I stayed sick the entire pregnancy. Threw my guts up daily, like multiple times a day, especially when I worked. And it was awful. I hated it. And I go to the OB. I can't remember how far along I was when I went to the OB, but I went and she literally talked down to me like constantly. And I don't like this doctor that we're talking about right now. And I don't like her at all. And yeah. So she talked down to me constantly. And then every time I had a question, she acted like my question was stupid. And every time I had a concern, she just brushed it off. You know, you don't know what you're talking about. You're fine. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so, honestly, my pregnancy wasn't that eventful up until about 6 months pregnant. And that is when my great-grandfather passed away. And I'm sorry, I might cry a little bit because this part of the story really gets me every time. He got really sick really fast, and I didn't get to tell him that I was going to have a baby because he was so sick. Sometimes he didn't even know who people were. I didn't get to tell him that I was about to have a baby, and I'm the first of my generation of my family to have a kid, and I'm still the only one to have a kid that I know of. Unless some of my cousins have kids that are secret kids that nobody knows about. But so he passed away, and that's when most of my family found out I was pregnant, is at his funeral. And I feel kind of guilty. I feel like I kind of took away from him because everybody got really curious about, you know, I'm pregnant, when I was due, how long I was due, why I didn't tell anybody, and stuff like that. And so so at 6 months pregnant is when most of my family found out I was having a baby. Thankfully, most of them were very supportive. Nobody was mean to me to my face. Yeah. I found out she was a girl at the 20-week ultrasound, and she was stubborn as could be. And we almost didn't find out her gender. They didn't find out until we didn't find out till like the very last second of the ultrasound. And we actually had to go back for a second part of the anatomy scan because she was hiding a lot of really important details that they were trying to get measurements of. So I actually had 2 anatomy scans of her, one at 20 weeks and one at 24 weeks. She was equally as frustrating and difficult at the second one as she was the first one. So and then nothing else really happened. I kind of met this guy, but he was very sweet. He was very, very supportive my entire pregnancy, that he was there for it. And that helped me a lot because I had a lot of depression going on because I was still dealing, you know, with, why is the fly doing that? I was still dealing with getting sober, dealing with becoming a single mom at 17, dealing with a baby daddy who moved all the way to Colorado. I forgot to mention that part. I'm sorry. Moved all the way to Colorado to avoid having to take responsibility for this child. Even though I told him from the start he did not have to be a part of my child's life at all. And he claimed that his parents who adopted him would give him back to the adoption agency if he ever got a girl pregnant as a teenager. And I was like, that's very specific, and I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth. Just like I don't believe you're infertile. Obviously you're not. I didn't show much. I didn't really start showing noticeably until about 7.5 months pregnant. Like, people who knew me, like close friends and family, And my coworkers could tell I was starting to get a baby bump. But if you were just out in public, you just think I was fat, honestly, and liked beer too much. That's all it looked like. On July 4th, me and my now husband had been talking for a couple days. We'd hung out a couple times. You know, actually hung out. Like, we didn't just meet up and do scandalous things. He came to my family's houses on the bay, and he genuinely was nice to me for the first time in a long time. Like, it wasn't forced. And at this point, you know, I'd grown up a lot in those 7 months. Well, I guess it's more like the 5 months I had known I was pregnant. I'd grown up a lot. I put everything aside that hurt me that he had done during our breakup all those years ago, and I tried. Like, I tried very hard to be nice and friendly, and like, I just wanted my friend back because he was my best friend from the time I was 10, and so I wasn't even trying to have a relationship with him. And we do a big, I'm gonna cry again probably. We do a big fireworks show every 4th of July at our houses on the bay because my great-granddaddy was a, I believe, a World War II veteran. I think it was 2. Had to be 2. He was like 95 when he died. And it was one of his favorite things, and so this was our first 4th of July without him. So we did like a really big fireworks show, and one of the fireworks malfunctioned, which was a little, it's funny now, but it wasn't then, and it kind of like shot towards everybody watching it. And it was kind of special that my husband was there to be there for me, because it was a really rough 4th, you know, being pregnant and losing my great-granddad and not being able to tell him. And so it was really nice for him to be there and to be nice to me after like 2 years of him not being nice to me, me not being nice to him. And he actually very guilty for not telling my great-granddad that I was expecting a baby. Okay, so anyway, he actually kissed me while we were stargazing on our pier, which is a big shock to me. And my grandmother actually let him stay the night, which I was very surprised about because my family is highly Christian and from South Alabama. And so I was like, oh, okay. We stayed up really, it was probably because my grandmother was there and my siblings were there. So, and it's like a really open layout bay house. Like, the locks on the bathroom doors don't even really work. So, I mean, after that, he just never left. Like, he drove me home from our houses on the bay. It's about an hour drive with post 4th of July traffic. And we actually got lost, so it was like a 3-hour drive because he didn't listen to my instructions. You know, typical man, knows where he's going. So we got lost, and we just drove around for a really long time, a whole bunch of back roads. It was nice, but I was trying not to get my hopes up. You know, 7 months pregnant, we get back home, and then he starts coming over every single day from the time he woke up until my grandmother would kick him out in between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't think his mom liked me too much in the beginning, but that's okay. I wouldn't like me either because of the situation that I put her son in, you know. I was pregnant and he was basically dating me again. We never officially like did the whole, are you my girlfriend? Are you my boyfriend? Or he asking me to be his girlfriend. It just, he never left. Ever. To this day, he never left. So we just counted as July 4th is our anniversary, because that's when it all started. We never went a 24-hour period at this point without each other now, like since July 4th, 2017. And then he went to the zoo, the Audubon Zoo, with me, and it was summertime, and it was absolutely miserable because I was like 8 months pregnant at that point, and it was hot. It was really freaking hot, and it was like just after a big like rainy day the day before, so the humidity was extra high, and I was like miserable. But he was so nice and so supportive the whole time, so that was really nice. Like, and he like this was like a week or two after we got back together, I believe, maybe a month max. And he, at the end of the day, told me that he was really proud of me because I took walking around very well. Like, I didn't complain when I didn't feel good. I communicated with him and told him in a way that wasn't complaining. It was just me, you know, talking to him. And so he told me that he was very proud of me, and that actually meant a lot for me. I mean, I went most of my pregnancy without anybody telling me anything like that, and him telling me that he is proud of me for something as simple as not acting like a baby because I was uncomfortable because I decided to go to the zoo in the summer in Louisiana while 8 months pregnant. I mean, it meant a lot. It's a small thing, but it meant a lot. And on the ride back from the zoo, he told me that he loved me, and that was like a really, really big thing. Oh, by the way, he was 20 at the time. He was still very young, and he stepped up and did this like major thing very young. He started coming to every OBGYN appointment with me. At 41 weeks, I went in for an induction. And I'm not going to talk about my labor and delivery story because that's a whole nother video. But I will say that afterwards, Christopher did cut the cord. He did do skin to skin with her. He stayed in the hospital the whole time with me. He was there my entire labor, the entire delivery. He took pictures of Phoenix for me. He got up and helped me do diapers at night, and he helped me through trying to nurse, and took her newborn pictures, which was really cool of him. And we decided in the hospital that she would take his last name. So my story is not that interesting, mostly because I was homeschooled already. I'd been homeschooled since 3rd grade, so I didn't really have to deal with a bunch of stuff. The worst I got was some kids in my youth group talking behind my back. I had 2 baby showers. I had a baby shower at my church that was specifically for friends and anybody from my church who wanted to come and support us, and my husband did come to that baby shower. And then I had a baby shower specifically for my family, and Christopher came to that one as well. So it was really nice to have the 2 kind of separated. So yeah, my story is not that interesting, but I did want to share it. Come a long way since then. I mean, I'm 20 now. I'm married to Christopher. He's about to legally adopt Phoenix. His family has completely opened their arms to her. His dad's wrapped around her finger. Then we had Ella back, and now we're currently pregnant with our 3rd and final child. So obviously it worked out in the end. I wanted to share this because I feel like I need to, that teen pregnancy doesn't always end your life. I'm constantly told that I'm a success story, which I don't believe I am. I just believe I'm a mom who is doing what is best for her family, and I just so happened to meet my soulmate at a very young age, and he was very mature at his age as well. So I hope y'all enjoyed watching. I know I rambled. I hope I can edit some of the rambling out, and thank y'all for watching. And we post weekly on our channel. Sometimes they're vlogs, sometimes they're family videos, sometimes they're just videos of me. It's just a mosh podge of anything family, parenting, mom, pregnancy related. So I hope y'all give us a follow, and I really appreciate all of y'all's support, and I can't wait to see y'all next week. Bye.